Hello, everyone. Welcome to Qobuz Live on Thursday. Glad you could all make it. We've got a really fun show today. Some good friends of mine that make some awesome product. We've got the guys from SVS here, so we'll bring these guys on in just a little bit. Before we get started, I'll tell you a little bit about Qobuz. Let's see. Of course, that's the wrong one. So we have got, they changed it on me. Here we go. We've got over 60 million tracks, all in either high res or at least 1644. Really good sounding stuff. If you think you can't hear the difference between standard resolution and high resolution, try us out for 30 days. It's an absolute free trial. Our plan started about $15 a month, and that'll get you full access to the service with all of the 24-bit songs and tracks available to you. Or if you pay for it by year, you can get it for as low as $12.50 per month. This has really helped us out a lot. We had started this back in November of last year, and it's really it brought a lot of things that we didn't really think about. We didn't really think about Pandora or Spotify or Apple people that would be interested in this. We were just really trying to compete at that point, but something really neat happened in that we ended up getting a whole lot of people that had never experienced high resolution before, because now at $15 a month, it's something that people will just end up trying. So try it, see if you like it. We would love to have you. And let's see, I think this is the last one. We just opened up a family plan, and the family plan is $25 per month, or you can also pay for that annually and save a little money. But if you've been trying to get your loved ones into high resolution, and they're the kind of people that go, I don't care. I can't hear the difference. I'll tell you something. If you listen to the difference between, say, 1644 and a 24192 file, let's just say they're recorded pretty well. A lot of people can't really tell the difference, or they don't think they can. But once you live with high resolution for just a little while, you will absolutely know that something is missing. I tell a story about my son Noah, which is really fun, because I turned him on to Qobuz, and he said to me, "Dad, this is nice, but I can't tell the difference between this and Spotify." I'm going, "Okay, buddy, no problem. Let's give it a little while." So we gave it about 6 months. He came back to me in 6 months. I said, let's listen again. So we listened. And I said, "Now what do you think?" He goes, "Well, I can't put my finger on it, but there's something missing. I really do like Qobuz a lot better." So if someone asks you to listen to a file and put you on the spot between a lower and a higher resolution version of almost anything, just know that there's so much going on in high resolution. There's a decay and a feel about the music that you can't beat. And you really can hear a difference if you care to take a listen. We've also got something else that's really fun on our site. It's really actually one of my favorite parts of the site. And this is the manufacturers playlist that we've got. There are a whole bunch of partner playlists that you can check out. We've also got one from SVS that is really fantastic. These guys aren't just manufacturers of gear; they're actually music lovers. Those are my very favorite people to have on the show. And so, without further ado, I would like to introduce the president of SVS. Let's see, we're not bringing these guys on yet, Dan. We're just bringing on Gary.
My stalkers joined us for a minute.
But at any rate, we're going to bring on Gary Yacoubian from SVS.
Hey, David.
Gary, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm so thrilled to be on your show, because I'm a fan of Qobuz, as you know. We love the sound of it. Well, it's my favorite streaming service, so to be on your show is an honor.
Well, Gary, thank you so much. We're all huge fans of your company, and that might sound like we're in a mutual admiration society, which we very well may
We
be.
are. What are you talking about? We are.
However,
How long
that's
have I known you, David? I think I've known you more than 20 years.
a long time. A long
Long time.
time. It has been something like that, and you've been a mentor for that many years. I've always watched what you did, even before we knew each other. You were just an interesting individual to me, and then we became friends, and we have the most fantastic conversations. We just had one last week, and I think we went, an hour and a half, 2 hours, just talking.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a 15-minute conversation about this, and it turned into more than an hour talking about everything going on in the world of audio, right?
Well, our conversations typically end up in philosophy and, how we do things, and me going, Gary, why did you do it this way? And because I'm not an idiot, David, this is the way I wanted to do it.
I never said that.
Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't agree. But the cool thing about Gary is I always learn something from him, whether it's perspective or just a different way to look at things. And we've got this relationship that Gary can tell me I'm wrong, and I don't take offense to it. I really actually go back and go, it doesn't feel great when people tell you you're not correct, but it's when you have someone that you respect on the other end of that conversation. My recommendation is listen, shut up and just listen. Even if you think you're really smart, that Gary's always hit me like that. So I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Gary, I'd like everybody to kind of know who you are a bit more than just the president of SVS. I mean, I want to talk about how you got there, but can you give us a little bit of background in the audio world? Where did you start?
Well, I was like you, David. I started in the world of retail. I was president of Myramco Audio Video, which was a Washington D.C. based audio video specialty chain. It was a great experience for me because I met thousands and thousands of customers, met thousands and thousands of people, and to understand what they like, what they prefer, what bugs them about audio products, speakers, and what they love about them. And as far as music goes, as you know, my dad actually was a child prodigy violinist. So, I mean, since before I could talk, I've been exposed to all the full-on world of music.
I did not know that.
That's true. And
so, did he play at home?
He did.
So from an early
he was
age.
giving concerts when he was 8 years old. Literally concerts in a concert hall when he was 8 years old. He wasn't at that level. And in fact, he gave it up as far as being a pro to become a doctor because he didn't think it would be a reliable way to earn money. But he never lost his love of music. So he really infused myself, my brother, and my sister with this passion for music that we still have. And I love all types of music.
I know you do.
Yeah, classical, jazz.
Yeah,
I just joined the board of Washington Performing Arts, which is the DC area association that puts on all the shows in the Kennedy Center, Strathmore Hall, and other local venues. So that's how passionate I am about music.
Well, we may come back to this. I told you we would be going down rabbit holes because
Yep.
I am Mr. Rabbit Hole. But being able at a young age to hear a violin in your home,
Right.
being able to capture the dynamics and the decay and the resolution that you would get off something like that has got to be the best oral education you could ever have. I mean, how things are supposed to sound. A violin is very, very difficult to produce on a audio system.
Right.
So yeah, wow, that's really cool, Gary. As many conversations as we've had,
I never told you that.
We've never had that because that could go into okay, after this, you and we're getting together, and I want to know, all about that.
All right, you're on.
So you were with Myramco, and then what happened to Myramco? That was an awesome company.
Well, I left in the middle of 2009 because I wanted to see the manufacturing side. Myramco closed about a year and a half after I left. And I'm not really clear on all that happened there, but I know it was the middle of the Great Recession and maybe there was some tough stuff going on. And they actually stayed as a custom installation kind of company up until the present day. They're still going, but more in terms of custom installation. I wanted to get to know the world of audio from the manufacturer's point of view. And I was offered, yeah, that's right, you did. And so I was offered the opportunity to go to Monster, you guys know as Monster Cable, but they make a lot of other things like headphones. And I was able to be a part of that whole Beats revolution and hanging out with Dr. Dre and learning about, well, one thing I learned at Beats was there's this whole vast, wide group of people that are interested in music and great sound, but no one's ever helped them understand that there's better sound available to them. And that's really, to me, what I learned from Beats. There was this whole massive group of people that the first Beats product was $300 headphones, and it had to compete with what comes free in the box with an iPod at the time or an iPhone. And they did a great job sort of helping people to believe that there's something better out there. And that's been my mission ever since. I left Monster and Beats to buy SVS with 2 partners. And my idea all along has been there's this whole group of people that love music, love great sound, go to live concerts. No one's helped them, or not many people have helped them understand that there's better sound available to them right in their own living space. And that's been our mission ever since.
Well, Gary, you guys did an incredible job with the whole Beats thing. I've never seen anything that well marketed. So you were really at Monster they were like peaking when you were.
I take I want to say for the record, I take no credit for that, but it was an amazing thing to be a part of. And it was really, really cool and crazy, traveling around the world, hanging out in Berlin with Lady Gaga and going to Dr. Dre, bringing Dr. Dre samples for him to evaluate. It was really heady stuff. And I learned so much.
Man, you really
prepared me.
So I went into manufacturing, right? Because I was just dying to do it. We were super, super successful at Hi-Fi Buys, but I wanted to get out and see the world and learn how manufacturing worked and learn how that whole relationship worked. And it was, and I'm so glad I did it. It was so interesting, and I've had a great time doing it the whole time. But I don't know about you, but I could do this job or the other jobs that I've had, the manufacturing jobs with Monitor Audio, Peachtree, Musical Fidelity, those kinds of companies. I could have physically done the job, but I don't think I could have done the job nearly as well without having so many years of hard retail experience and teaching salespeople electronics and how digital works and the right things to do. I wouldn't have the perspective that I've got on this side of things, that had I not spent so many years on the retail side, finding out what real customers think, what real people think about music, and how really how to interact with them, because it is really quite a bit different than say interacting with large dealers and that kind of thing, don't you think?
Well, I was hanging out with my brother virtually, of course, a few weeks ago, and he just made this observation, because he's been, my brother for my whole life and watched my entire professional career, and he's like, it's almost like everything you've ever done prepared you for this job,
right?
And I really do think that's true, and we do have a different dimension at SVS because we're very customer facing. We really do think a lot more. We think more about the people who are going to end up owning the products than I think a lot of maybe audio companies that just don't have that background would think of. I'll say that.
I totally agree with that, which is really kind of brings me back to the point of you're able to, I think, see things a little more clearly, or a little with a little more perspective, or a wider perspective, with all of the different positions that you've held in the past, because the job you guys have done with SVS is nothing short of amazing.
Thank you.
It was a tiny little company.
Right.
In just a minute, I'm going to bring in some of the guys that helped you make this happen. But Gary, SVS, that blew me away. I was not expecting this from you. We didn't discuss it prior to you buying it. But it was something that I didn't, that was one of those things I didn't see that one coming. You know, what's this guy going to do with this little subwoofer company? They always had a really good name, but
had a cult following.
A cult following. Yeah. I think that would be a really good way to say it, because that's exactly what it was. But you guys have been able to take this and really turn it into something else. Now tell me, when did you buy SVS?
With two partners, I bought it in June of 2011. So just a little more than 9 years ago.
Wow, you have done some absolutely amazing things with this company. So, without getting too deep, and really just for the people that don't know who SVS is or what you guys really do, give me the little the little quick speech on what is SVS, what's the company do? Give me I hate to call it an elevator pitch, but that's sort of what it's known as. Give me the lowdown, the rundown on what you guys do.
Well, I'm going to say it in, you said I'm disruptive, David. So can I say it in a little bit of a disruptive way? I feel like a lot of the conventional audio industry is kind of based on a belief that most people don't care about great sound. And we believe that most people, as many as 3/4 of people, of all people, love great sound, go to live concerts, back before COVID, of course, go to movie theaters and have immersive theater experiences, go to EDM shows. People love great sound. It doesn't have to be just that very minor percentage of people that call themselves audiophiles. And so what we try to do is bring the joys of great sound to a lot more people. That's really what SVS is all about. And by the way, we don't in any way reject the audiophile community. In fact, we're embraced by the audiophile community. Our subwoofers and our stereophile recommended components, our speakers, win awards from audiophile magazines all over the world. But we also want to reach out to normal people who just love music or movies and would appreciate them with great sound. And so that's our mission. We do that with products that surprise and delight you with their performance for the price. And we're constantly talking to our what we call the SVS community, getting their feedback and using their feedback to refine our products and make them the best they can be.
Well, that's a pretty good little rundown, but you've had some help doing this, and we're going to bring on a couple of your buddies to talk about it.
They're the ones that do the work. I get to just talk about it.
Hey, you got to have somebody. Larry and Nick, how are you doing?
Great, sir. Good to see you.
Awesome, David. Thank you for having us.
It's so good to have you guys, and it's really good to be able to have you guys all three together. I am a huge fan of the SVS Happy Hour. I'll watch it just to have a good time with you guys. Let's see what
we have a good time with it. It's a highlight of our week.
Absolutely.
And you can tell it's really great to see so many people that are so passionate in the same company that are all kind of going for the same thing. Larry, let's see, you're Mr. Famous T-shirt. Keep calm and carry on. What does that mean?
Well,
my God, I love it.
Yeah, for all of our broadcasts, so I busted out a fun music one for today. Yeah, I'm the goofball of the group, I guess.
Okay, I got to tell you, I despise those whole keep calm and listen to music or whatever. But that one is actually good. That's very clever, and I would wear that. I think I love that one.
It's the only one that I own that says that, and it's. I remember I was walking around the Denver airport. Well, when we could go to airports, and actually had a woman start laughing hysterically at it. So I was like, all right, I guess it's a good one.
Okay, the best T-shirt I ever saw.
Yes.
The best T-shirt I ever saw, and it was actually at the Denver airport. Several of us were coming back from Rocky Mountain Audio Fest, and separately, you would hear people talking about this. But there was this one lady that had a T-shirt on that said, "Surely everyone wasn't kung fu fighting," and I saw it. I just totally cracked up. You would have to have a little age on you to even get that reference, but
That's actually great. Love it.
I love it. It was hilarious. Yeah, Dan just put on. I'd like to thank Dan Matka for producing the show, but he just put on up a little post that said, "If you have any questions, please ask now." There's a real good chance we won't get to a lot of the questions, but the ones we don't get to, I've already talked to Larry and Nick and Gary, and we're all going to go back and collectively answer all the questions from the different platforms. So. Thank you, guys.
There's a really good question that I just saw on here. Do you want to answer them in real time if we can or not?
I mean, if there's one that makes sense, go for it.
Here it is.
Is SVS?
I think Dan put it up on the screen. It's a great question.
Well, that would be no, right?
Is SVS good for classical and jazz music streaming? And I think that's a really good question for a lot of reasons. People always ask, is your product or are your speakers really good for music or movies? And then this person's actually breaking it down to not only is it good for music, but is it good for classical and jazz music? Typically, we call that more acoustic-oriented music as opposed to like more electric music like rock or hip-hop or things like that. And I think that question really captures our whole vision for SVS speakers, which is we want speakers that are refined and accurate and musical. So Tracy, they should sound really great with classical and jazz music, but we also want them to be dynamic, exciting, and have low frequency response so that they're great for more electric kinds of music, and especially for movies like in a home theater. So we don't think you should have to choose between great performance for music and great performance for movies, or great performance for classical music versus rock. A great speaker should just be a great speaker, period.
That is almost a bottom line. I've said that for absolute years and years. What speaker would you choose for rock and roll? What speaker would you choose for classical? How about home theater? And you are absolutely 1,000,000% right. If you get a great speaker, it's a great speaker, and it will sound good on all of those formats. If you have one that doesn't sound good on jazz or classical, or only sounds good on rock and roll that was made in 1965, you got a bad speaker. So
that's right.
That's so correct. What, Larry, you're the national trainer for this. How do you answer this?
Well, I like to say we're a jack of all trades when it comes to who we can embrace with our sound. Whether you're a movie person, a music person, rock, pop, jazz, EDM, country, you name it, the neutrality of our speakers, the range of our speakers, the power of our subwoofers can play with everything you want to listen to.
So you may be going, well, anybody could say that. This is actually true. I visit Gary and Nick and Larry and Keenan at every single show. There's not a show that I won't go to that they're at that I won't come by, because it's always fun. It's always interesting. They've always got a boatload of people in the room, at least prior to the pandemic, and I'm sure that'll hop back up as soon as we're clear and free. But the reason I dig your demos is because I'll sit down and Gary will talk about this immersive surround sound thing or Dolby Atmos thing or whatever it is. I'll sit down and I'll get this unbelievable. It's like it's audio assault typically. Right? He'll put something on there that when you leave this room, you feel like you've been maybe beat up just a little bit, but it's always so much fun. But right after that, it's like, oh, well, let's play a little music on this, and it doesn't matter what kind of music it is. In fact, SVS has got a really cool playlist on Qobuz that I would love you guys to take a listen to. This is it. So if you take a look here, I mean, it's not your normal hi-fi playlist. There's just so much really, really interesting stuff on here. Do you guys add to this playlist, or is it what it is?
We're always adding to it. We should make sure we keep the Qobuz playlist up to date, because there's so many. And you're right, David. We believe that great speakers need to sound great with great music, not so much music that was made just to sound good. And I can tell you that what was picked here on this list was a collaboration of all of us. We're all enthusiastic about different kinds of music. I know I can see a lot of these are ones that I picked, but I know Nick picked some, Keenan picked some, Larry picked some, and other members of our team. And it's music we love, more important than whether it was, the greatest recording of all time.
Okay, who put on? I got to know this. Who put on the John Coltrane stuff?
That's me.
Oh man, we had a few of the. I don't know if you guys got to see it the other day, but we had the John Coltrane Foundation on. Archie Shepp was on there, and a few other ultra famous saxophone players that were all just talking about how awesome John Coltrane was. And it was great listening to Archie Shepp talk about him, because he knew him when he was a kid, right? He's got to be in his late 80s or early 90s at this point. So this guy had some stories about John Coltrane that just totally flipped me out. But I love your playlist. I've listened to it a couple of times. And the one thing I really dig about this playlist is it will take me down rabbit holes. So if you think you can actually get through this playlist all in one listening, if you do, you're probably not doing it right. It's a great playlist for reference stuff that you can actually, listen to a few tunes, and then all of a sudden you pop on this Beyonce thing, and you're going, I don't listen to Beyonce, but man, that sounded fantastic. Let me listen to some of her other stuff. And the whole thing is just chock full of stuff like that. So just a fantastic playlist.
And it's
we love it.
Broad. I think there's over 100 tracks on there too.
Yeah. It's a big playlist, but I like big playlists. My playlists tend to expand as well. I've got to start a new one. My Wow 2 has it's gotten to well over 100. So I think I'm going to end up starting another one. Do you guys have one that's just for, say, subwoofer performance, or is this?
Nick just put one up. So funny you say that.
We actually crowdsourced one from our social media community, which we love to do because we like to incorporate, some of what our, Facebook and YouTube followers are listening to. And so we're in the process of transitioning that to Qobuz as well. But if you look at the SVS YouTube channel, we call it our SVS Bass Bangers playlist. And there's a lot of hip hop on there, but there's some EDM as well. And there's some other diverse music. And we're also going to be adding to that as well when we transfer it over to Qobuz. But we love to just kind of get the community involved. I think a lot of people have different listening tastes, so we kind of like to see what's out there, and then we'll add our own personal tracks that we use to test our products and demo our products, and it just makes it a nice holistic list for people to jog to or listen to when they're partying or whatever.
Nick, how many people you think you guys talk to on social? I know that. It blows me away. I can't really believe it, but it's more than 50.
Hopefully it's more than 50. But I think really our approach, it's hard to quantify the numbers, but I think the approach we've taken has sort of been like, I call it edutainment. We want to make sure that we're providing some level of value by, instructing people, giving them good tips and tricks to optimize the sound quality of their system, but also like the thing we were just talking about with the playlist, like give them some content recommendations, so it's sort of walking that line between entertaining people and educating them, and then doing it in a way that's like
you're feeling
inclusive.
connected to them, for a while, Nick, right?
Yeah, really connecting with people, because I think for a long time, especially in the audiophile community, it was sort of like, well, my system's better than yours, you can't do that, or it won't sound as good, and it was sort of like, everyone had their way, and it created some level of divisiveness. And that's just not what SVS is all about. We want people to feel like included, and whether your budget's, $500 for a subwoofer or, $500,000 for a complete system, you can feel like you're getting, an awesome experience, and you're feeling, like you're getting everything out of your music and your movie experiences. So that's kind of the approach that we've taken. And I think that's helped us sort of grow our following, because we're not really, drawing lines in the sand or doing things like that.
So the reason I ask this is because before the show, and I already knew this about you guys too, because you guys have had me on your show, which thank you very much. But I was talking to Gary, and I was going, well, Gary, we probably won't get all the questions, because really this is a very conversational kind of a show that we do. But afterwards, maybe we can answer some questions. I'm going, we'll probably have, probably 30, 40 people asking, questions. He goes, David, after one of our live sessions, we literally have thousands of questions. So that just really goes to show what a great job you guys are doing and how engaging you are. I'm not saying that for any other reason than my favorite musical artists are doing that, or a lot of them are doing that. Ricky Lee Jones or Joe Bonamessa. There's a lot of these guys that are, now that COVID is sort of among us, and this is the new normal, I'm starting to learn a lot about musicians that I love that I didn't really know a lot about. This has given us a really, really good opportunity to kind of open ourselves up, make ourselves a little more vulnerable, and say, hey, here we are, guys. You guys do a superb job of that, making yourself available to your fans. And not thinking that, oh, well, we don't really need to talk to them. We've got more important things to do. You guys don't have more important things to do, and it shows.
So they talk to us every day, all different kinds of ways.
Yeah, and it started, actually before the pandemic, when we were doing live events at a lot of our dealers. And, this crew right here, Larry, Gary, and I would go out, and we'd, go to a dealer. We'd have, hundreds of people, just doing demos for them, talking about products, answering their questions, and helping shine a spotlight on the joys of audio. And I think that sort of helped us make this natural progression to a more virtual version of that. So, for us, it's all about community building and just sort of, embracing people on a level that I think they want to be embraced on. So that kind of, again, I think helped feed into this, the happy hour that we now have, and has sort of made it bigger than I think we even expected it to be.
Oh, well, you guys are doing a great job. It's not without a lot of work that's gone into it, and you guys do make it a lot of fun. We're going to be doing something. I'm not even really supposed to announce what we're going to be doing with SVS, but keep your eye on their website and social. We're going to be making a really, really unique and special offer with SVS very, very quickly. So keep that in mind, guys. For just a few minutes, we're gonna bring everyone off screen, and we're gonna bring in our music merchandiser, Sujan Hong, to talk about a few titles that we're going to be getting in tomorrow. So you guys stand by, and we're going to bring Sujan on and talk to you guys in just a little bit. Okay.
Great.
Hi, Sujan. Hello, Sujan. How are you?
Hey, David. How's it going?
It's going good. Thank you so much for joining today.
My pleasure.
Well, something, it's like you're always so busy. I always feel privileged when we can get you on. The last 2 weeks, Sujan, would write me on Wednesday evening or Thursday going, there is no way I'm going to be able to make this. I don't know why you don't really do that much. I mean, Sujan is literally responsible for every playlist that you see. She's how these things look, what order they're in, who's going to be featured. She's probably the hardest working person between her and Dan at Qobuz US, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate her encyclopedic knowledge of music. There's like nothing that we can bring up during our corporate meetings that Sujaan isn't just super familiar with. I'm going, or she'll bring up somebody and I'm going, well, who's that? Oh, I've been listening to these guys for years and years. And so it's always great to have you on, Sujaan, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to shut up and get off the screen and let you talk about what we got coming up tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for the nice words. And of course, you know, it is a team effort. We've got a great team also in France of, you know, fellow music lovers and enthusiasts. So it is certainly a group effort to make Qobuz run. But anyway, so this week it's going to be, you know, kind of a short and sweet rundown of albums coming out. But I've got 5 releases for you. And we're going to start off with Bruce Springsteen's Letter to You, which is our album of the week. It is hard to believe that Springsteen is now 71 years old, and this is his 20th album. So Letter to You features the E Street Band backing Bruce for the first time since 2014. Unsurprisingly, there's just, you know, a lot of reflection and also looking forward. And the album also features 3 songs that were written in the 70s, including Janie Needs a Shooter. So that finally gets an official release here. And we'll have that in 2496 from Columbia. Next up, we have Songhoy Blues with Optimism. Sorry for my pronunciation. So Songhoy Blues are a band from Mali, and their sound mixes rock and desert blues. This is the 3rd album for the band, who came together as refugees during their country's civil war. Matt Sweeney, who most people know from Svs, actually produced this record. So, you know, you're going to hear a lot of interesting guitar sounds. And, you know, the album as a whole is just, it's full of hope and encouragement for a better world, as the title suggests. And that is also in 2496 from Fat Possum. Next up, we have Adrian Lanker with Songs. So Songs is one of 2 albums that Adrian Lanker of Big Thief is releasing this week. And if you recall, Big Thief actually released 2 albums last year. So, you know, this is a very hardworking musician. So both were recorded in a cabin in Western Massachusetts. And, you know, she was there after the band's tour was cut short in April due to COVID-19. Instrumentals, which is a spare 2-song release, is actually out today. It was scheduled for tomorrow, but surprise, it's available now. And tomorrow we'll see the release of Songs, which was inspired by her surroundings and her connection to that space. Next, we have Ray Barretto with Viretto Power. So this album is 50 years old, and for its 50th anniversary, we are getting a remastered version of Viretto Power. Ray Barretto, of course, is the percussionist who was a key figure in the history of salsa music and the Fania label as a band leader and congo player. And he was also a genre pioneer, you know, fusing Latin and jazz sounds. So tomorrow we'll have this in 24/192 from Craft Latino. And then finally, we have a John Prine box set from Rhino, and it's called Crooked Piece of Time, the Atlantic and Asylum albums, 1971 to 1980. So this is a new box set of the first 7 albums of the great storyteller John Prine, whom we sadly lost earlier this year due to COVID-19. So of this output, currently only the self-titled debut release is available in high res, but come tomorrow we'll have Diamonds in the Rough, Sweet Revenge, Common Sense, Bruised Orange, Pink Cadillac, and Storm Windows also in 24-bit, so that's really exciting. And to guide you through this and also his subsequent Oh Boy catalog, we have a freshly published panorama. Panoramas are our long-form editorial franchise, and so we've got a new one called John Prine in 10 Songs for your reading pleasure. Just look for it either, you know, on the Home Discover page or do a quick search for John Prine and it will come up. And then quickly, while we're talking about downloads. So quick update for the download store, excuse me. Today is the final day of the John Coltrane high-res catalog sale, and there are just a few days left for the Linkin Park high-res sale. So definitely get over to our download store to take advantage of some great deals.
Sujan, thank you. It's always crazy interesting. We've got a question here that would actually, I think you would really be able to answer pretty well. I filled out a couple of the forms requesting albums which aren't on Qobuz. What's the process that you decide if it's worth adding them, and in turn getting back to the request store?
Well, I guess I'll answer the first question, if it's worth adding. Of course. I mean, I don't think anything that is missing is intentionally left behind. The digital music world is so vast. I mean, we're talking about millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of tracks. So, sometimes things get lost in the shuffle, especially as content changes hands from one rights holder to another. So really, definitely fill out the form if you see something missing, especially if it seems like an egregious error. It really just could be that it just didn't get delivered somehow, and the title exists, but yeah, I mean, it's really helpful for us to know too, and it's awesome to know that people are continually looking for, deep corners of the music catalog. So yeah, it's certainly not an issue of us not wanting to add it. It's just that you guys are helping us fill out the catalog with any holes that you see.
Yeah, and we've gone from since we started this whole thing, we've added about 20 million tracks. We were at 40 million, now we're at 60, and things are popping up all the time. What I usually tell people about the forums are, fill them out. In fact, one of our people put up the little link to request music. Here's something really cool about requesting music. Every single one of them are looked at by a human being. We're way too busy and just don't have nearly the staff to be able to answer all of these, but they're all looked at, and it could be they're just in a line. We are literally ingesting millions and millions of songs. Like Sujan said, these aren't hundreds of tracks that we're dealing with. These are millions of tracks that we're dealing with. And I'll give you a perfect example. I was really upset, very upset that we didn't have Ricky Lee Jones on our system. And so I would fill this out about once every 3 or 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden, Ricky Lee popped up. I did the same thing with Lyle Lovett. So it's not a matter, and a lot of times it's just that they're in line. If they're already in line, they may be moved up, but we try to get everything. There are some things that we don't have, but the discrepancy between the music that we have in other services is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter every single day, don't you think?
Yeah, and and oftentimes as we use the service, I think the people who work at Qobuz are some of the biggest power users of it. We're coming up with lists of things that are missing, and sometimes we're able to track them down, and sometimes we just kind of revisit it, and 2 weeks later, that artist is there or that album is there. So
be patient.
Definitely, you're being heard. Your request is definitely getting to human eyes and ears, and we are doing our best to track these things down. So yeah, my suggestion would be to fill it out and then check back every couple of weeks. And we know that we're doing our best to get all this music.
This is the link on the bottom, and it is in the chat. If you've got anything that we don't have that you would like to see on Qobuz, pop it in there. We'll get it as soon as we can, if at all possible. Sujan, thank you so much for coming on. I know how busy you are. I'd like to keep you on the whole show, but I know you've got stuff to do.
I've got a little bit of work to do tonight, so great to be on again, and I will talk to you soon.
Oh, you just got, I forgot. Yeah, you just got the SVS sound base, right?
I did, yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you about it a little bit. We've actually got
I'm excited to use it. I gotta set it up. I gotta find the right spot for it in my apartment, but I'm really excited to start using it.
I'm excited that you've got it because I fell in love with the piece. We're going to be talking about it in just a little bit. But hey, Sujan, go work. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you get to join us next Thursday.
All right. Thanks, David. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye. All right. Let's bring back on Nick, Larry, and my boy Gary. Hey, guys.
Hey, that was great. She's so passionate about the music. I really enjoyed that.
I learned something too. A couple things.
Yeah. By the way, we'll have these links up on Qobuz tomorrow, so that you guys can listen to the to some of the albums that Sujan was talking about. But yeah, she is absolutely so much fun to talk to. She's like another dated saying. She's like E.F. Hutton. In our meetings, we'll have 6, 8 people on screen, and then Sujan will start talking about music, and everybody just shuts up and lets her go. So yeah, when we say we are the music lovers, we are definitely the music lovers. That's a huge part of our discussions constantly. And speaking of music lovers, Dan, if you're ready, I'd like to pull up quite a couple of just incredibly impressive pieces of gear to me, and I'll tell you why they're impressive to me once they start pulling up. But Dan, go ahead and pull up the sound base, if you would, please. You guys came out with a piece that, while not 100% innovative, I mean, other people out there have got integrated amplifiers that stream. This thing is really, really an incredible performer. First off, it does almost everything. Larry, how much power does this have per channel?
So this is a 300 watt 2-channel amp. So you've got 150 watts by 2. So it's enough juice to power some small bookshelves, some large towers, some in-wall and ceiling speakers. So you've got a lot of capability with this amplifier.
I was powering a pair of Martin Logan Motion 40s, which are big floor standers with the AMT, and it was like owning them. The connectivity is fantastic on this amplifier. Tell me about the pieces that what will it do?
Well, I've actually got one right here. The Soundbase amplifier, if you're not familiar with the product, this is our 2-channel amplifier that can go on your home network and stream Qobuz and other streaming services, play music off your phone, music off your computer in high resolution stereo. But you can also hook it up to a CD player or a turntable, your television, and just sit back and have a fantastic 2-channel listening experience anywhere in your home. So I'm excited to hear that Sujan's going to hook that up in our apartment too, because I have 2 of them in the house. I know Gary's got a few, Nick's got a few, so we love this product.
Well, you guys had sent me one of these things about 6 months ago, and I've been having just a great time with it. And then Sujan, I was talking to Sujan, and she knows so much about music, and I'm going, so what are you listening to? She's going, oh, I can't even remember what she said, but I was horrified, and I'm going, hold on. I'm going to pack this thing up and let you hear what real hi-fi sounds like. So we just got it to her last week, and she stays so busy she hasn't really been able to hook it up yet. But I'm going to walk her through the hookup, and as soon as she can get a minute to do this. But this is an amazing piece of gear. Not only does it do everything that Nick was talking about with all of the hookup connectivity and whatnot, it's one of my favorite things about this piece is it does full 24/192 streaming. And you can buy this piece about as inexpensive as anyone's got just a full res or high res streamer. This thing's only like what, $500?
Yep.
It's $499.
Yeah. So if you think getting into high-end audio is going to break the bank and you're never going to be able to recover from it, not true. This will get you in high-end. And Gary and I were talking about this just yesterday, and he did something. He's doing something with his that I wish I would have tried with the one that I had, and I didn't even think about doing it. But this thing's got preamp outs, right?
Yeah, it has preamp outs, and so it can be either you can upgrade the amplifier, you can use a really high-end power amplifier if you want to. The other use is, imagine that you have, for example, a more conventional 2-channel system or a home theater that doesn't have a smart streaming capability. You can just use this as a source in your 2-channel system or in your home theater, and it can turn what wasn't a smart system into a smart system that can do high-res streaming.
That's a great thing. I mean, I'm always recommending, because you remember when we were talking about we're getting a lot of people that were previously from Apple and Spotify and Pandora, that really they know they want a little better sound than they're getting, so they've hopped into high res because it's not that expensive anymore. But we're always getting questions. It's like, I don't want to put a lot into this. What can I do? And frankly, I've been recommending just the streaming units that are more expensive than this. But this is a fantastic piece. It works on a little platform called Play-Fi, which I got to tell you, a couple years ago, 3 years ago, I liked the idea, but it just didn't really work as well as I would have liked it to. And I told Gary this, and he goes, "Well, hold on, let me send you one of these things so you can check it out." And I did. And I was totally impressed with this thing. So you guys have just done an absolute wonderful job with this unit. And I asked Gary when it came out, I'm going, "Gary, this is awesome, but why are you selling it so inexpensively? Nobody's got anything that can touch this for the price." What did you tell me, Gary?
Well, can I respond to the first thing you said about Play-Fi first, which I think is a really fair point? I mean, Play-Fi got kind of a bad rap 3-4 years ago, and we wanted to, Play-Fi's done a great job upgrading their user experience. We also wanted to make sure the Play-Fi integration into the unit was really fun for people to use. And so all of us, we were not the first to market with this type of product, as you point out. But one of the reasons why was I lived with versions of this product along with many of our team members for a year before we kept refining it, making sure the user experience was fun, making sure it sounded great, making sure there were no glitches in enjoying it. And yeah, it made us be more a year later than we needed to be, but the user experience is really fun and solid. And that to me, it was worth it. We made sure it was something people could enjoy in their lives. To your other point about why so cheap, which we hear a lot from retail partners, like, "Oh, I could sell this for more," right, Larry?
Absolutely.
We hear that all the time. But the reason is real simple. We're trying to get more people excited about great sound. And if it's not within reach of a normal person to buy, then obviously they're not going to be a candidate for a product like this. This brings a great high-res Qobuz streaming experience to a lot more people because it's within reach. It's affordable.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that.
Go for it.
You don't mind me, Larry. Yeah, no, I think another big thing that we tried to do was make it as future facing as possible. I mean, when you talk about, hi-fi products for a more modern audiophile, we have voice control via Alexa. So you can, use some of those more modern control mechanisms as well as your phone and your laptop. It's also got custom presets on the front. So if you have favorite channels or stations you want to listen to, it's super easy to dial those up with just the touch of a button without really having to dig through multiple layers on an app. So, it was as much about finding a solution that would sort of be good into the future, as well as putting fidelity first. And I think with the wireless audio category specifically, there's sort of been a lack of that. I think the user experience has sort of trumped the sound quality part of it. And we really wanted to put sound quality first, but also make it future facing and have that intuitive user experience.
Yeah, it was almost like there was this belief that people who got smart speakers only wanted them for background music. Nobody wanted them to just really listen and have a great live sounding music experience. And we're like, I bet if we made it sound amazing, people would use it that way. They would use it as their main audio system. And I did see one of your commenters say, hey, I'm looking for powered speakers that, you know, I want to simplify my life. I just want a single way to just enjoy all different ways of all different kinds of content. That's what this is. And it's designed to deliver it in a, you know, as you said, David, immersive, convincing way, like not background music, foreground music.
Yeah, I don't appreciate background things that are made for background music. I just don't appreciate them.
Me neither.
Probably one of the more famous ones would be these Amazon dots or those kinds of products, which is really, I believe, the reason that Amazon is in streaming anyway. It's really not about the music. It's just about how many places can we get one of these little spies in your living environment, which kind of freaks me out anyway. But I totally agree. I don't think anything should ever be designed for background music, at least not in our side of things. If you're doing a 70 volt, you know, grocery store system, fine. But speakers should sound great, especially with the technology that they've got going on these days, which you guys really set this up perfectly. This is without a doubt my favorite speaker that's wireless if you had to say it, it's on a budget, but these things sound fantastic. We've got a pair in our New York office. These are the SVS Prime wireless speakers. And along with the Prime bass, I think that this is just a brilliant product. And I'll tell you why they're my favorites. I don't want to just say that without, you know, giving it some kind of a reference point. But I don't know if I know a lot of companies are making powered speakers. I mean, a boatload of them. But if you look at the jack pack and the features that most all of them have, they're gonna be basic. And I don't know of anyone else that's actually got a full streaming unit built in their speakers for this kind of price. These speakers are only $600, $599 a pair, right?
Correct.
And it's important to say pair. There's two of them.
Right.
Because even something as small as a dot claims to be stereo, and I guess technically it has, you know, both channels of sound of a stereo signal, but nobody's going to mistake that for a stereo pair of speakers. And I think an important distinction with our Prime wireless speaker system is, yes, it has all those features, but it also has two separate speakers that will create a full-on stereo image, and they're designed to sound really amazing and remarkable, especially given their size, because we have a digital electronic crossover and 4 50-watt amplifiers driving these two speakers.
Yeah, Dan's about to pull up the rear of it, because I don't mean to geek out on you guys, but I'm kind of a jackpack guy. I want to see what's behind here and how innovative you guys could be. Gary, I appreciate you saying we had a way to stream a year before we ever put it out. Most manufacturers simply are not that patient, and we'll go ahead and put out product. Oh, we've got it. It'll stream. Let's put it out. We can worry about the other stuff later. But you guys didn't do that. You just waited until it was right to do it. First off, I don't know how you can have that much patience, but I totally appreciate it. So let's talk about a little bit about the jack pack on this thing. Because you can just do so much with it. At the very top, I think at the far left side of that, is that a subwoofer out?
Yeah, and that's really cool. And one of the fun things about that subwoofer output is it knows when you plug a subwoofer into it. It knows you just did that, and it changes the crossover points of the speakers. It allows the speaker to open up, and it expects the subwoofer to take care of the deep bass. Now, these speakers sound great without a subwoofer. I want to make sure everybody understands that. $599 for the pair of them, and they sound great. No subwoofer needed.
That's the way we use them.
Right, and most people do. But for $500, you can add an SVS subwoofer to that, and now you've got basically a room shaking experience from a pair of small speakers and a subwoofer.
And so you got all kinds of inputs on these as well. Tell us a little bit about what they will take outside. See, for me, this speaker is perfect to plop down in any room that I want, pull up Qobuz, and I'm good. I've got, millions and millions of tracks I could pull up. I'm finished at that point. But this thing's also got this input is actually for a CD player, or don't they have a phono input as well?
So we don't have a phono preamp in the speakers. So the phono, if you wanted to hook a record player up to them, you would need the record player to have a full-on line output, which many do in this day and age. But I think the typical way they would be used is, for example, this is like the world's greatest computer speaker.
That was going to be my next one. Yeah,
you can use the output of the headphone output of your computer or Bluetooth to connect with these, and that I have a pair connected to my computer, and they make me so happy. I'm listening to YouTube concerts, things like that, while I'm working, and it's absolutely joyful. The other way you can connect them is via the optical input, so you can connect the typical way someone would use that. Larry, you correct me if you think I'm going in bad directions. You can connect your TV to it that way, and so it's almost like a soundbar kind of performance, but with much better sound resolution. And then finally, if you wanted to, you could use them. You could connect with them using Bluetooth, which I see people do all the time. But of course, you would lose the high res aspect if you connect via Bluetooth. So I would always encourage the person to, first thing you do when you get them, connect them up to your Wi-Fi network. It's very easy. The Play-Fi app walks you right through that. And then all the features of Play-Fi, all the different ways you can enjoy music, such as Qobuz, is available to you.
Yeah, and I think we should probably, I see somebody asking a question a little bit ago was, does it have a smartphone app control? And the sound-based amplifier that we were talking about and these Prime wireless speakers utilize a free app called DTS Play-Fi. And with Play-Fi, what it allows you to do is you can put these speakers or the amplifier anywhere in your home, put them on your network, and then you can control them. I've got my app right here, and name wherever you have your speakers, name them kitchen, bathroom, den, office, whatever you want to name them, and then access all your favorite streaming playlists from Qobuz and other streaming services, listen to the stuff off your television and broadcast that throughout your house. But where it really gets fun with both of these is, I have a family of 5, and not everybody really wants to use an app all the time. So all of us have presets in our car radios that we're all familiar with. Well, on the front panel of both the Prime wireless speakers and the Prime wireless sound-based amplifier, you can save your favorite playlist. So right here on my desk, where I have the Prime wireless connected with a small subwoofer, I have presets, and they're all Qobuz presets to some of my favorite bands. And all I do is simply push a button on the front of the speaker or the amplifier, and in about 5-6 seconds, I'm connected to that playlist that I've saved from Qobuz, and I didn't have to touch an app. So if you want to make it easy and something you can do with your whole family, that's a great way to use it too.
The other thing I was going to say is, because for me, I use the presets, and I basically put in my favorite internet radio stations on those presets, because that's the kind of thing I'd be more apt to use a preset for. When I'm doing Qobuz, I want to be deep in the Qobuz ecosystem and find stuff. I love, by the way, Qobuz has a really neat feature called Discover, which I think is great. And I'm not sure if it's contextualized to what I already have listened to, but it seems to make great suggestions for me. And I'll sometimes just chill out and use the Discover feature of Qobuz on my Play-Fi app.
That's very cool. That's very cool. A couple of more things about the SVS wireless stuff or their internet stuff. I don't really like to say wireless a lot, because when you try to stream like a 24/192 signal, unless you are like getting brain cancer at the same time, I would just say that you wire them up, have the things wired up, because that way you won't lose any resolution. You'll have plenty of headroom wireless headroom or internet headroom. Headroom's important on everything, and it'll just really work better, sound better, and give you a better user experience. But one thing I wanted to say about this optical input that you guys have got, especially with people that have got Macs that are over a year or so old, the little headphone jack on the side of most Macs is actually doubles as an optical output. You have to have a different connection for it, but you can get those from a lot of manufacturers. This one's from AudioQuest, and it's got, you can see the little small guy right here. This one goes into your headphone jack, and that's actually an optical output a little deeper than the headphone goes. And then, of course, the other side connects right to the SVS, either speakers or.
That's really cool.
And it really, really works good. You'll be limited to $24.96, but I like that better. I personally like that better than, say, a wireless connection. And like I say, when you're hooking this stuff up, if you are going to go for, the ultimate high res, wire your system, get an Ethernet. If you don't have an Ethernet there, worst case, which is not a bad case, get a Ethernet over power, which are just a couple of plugs that you plug one up next to your router, run a little Ethernet cable to it, and then next to your SVS Prime wireless product, you can plug another plug that will correspond to the other plug that you've got next to your router, and actually give you pretty darn good performance like that.
You know what I did, and this was actually Larry's suggestion, so I should let Larry do it. But Larry gets credit, but this was a really good suggestion. Basically, I got the Google Nest router. What is it called? Nest? I don't even know.
A mesh network, yeah, where you spread your internet connection.
Oh, those are fantastic. Which one did you get?
What I did was, Larry will tell you which one I got because I don't even know what I got. He told me what to get. But I think the point is you have your router that you use for emails and stuff like that. I Ethernet wire a connection to this Google Nest router, which has nodes all over your house. I have 3 nodes, and that is dedicated only. That is dedicated only to media. We don't use it for anything other than media, and so it's been rock solid to enjoy Prime Wireless. But also, I got a couple of Apple TVs, some Amazon Fire Sticks, and they're all connected to that one network, and it's pretty rock solid.
Fantastic.
We'll tell people like if you can upgrade your network, because if you're just using what's coming from your internet service provider, you're missing out on a lot of capabilities, because every time someone in your family starts jumping on your network, like I said, family of 5. So my 3 boys could be playing games. My wife and I could be streaming a movie. I could be doing something like I'm doing a broadcast now. My entire family is off streaming something right now. And because we upgraded the network, we don't have any issues. And that's something
we get to see Larry.
Yeah, that's why you
up on us.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. These days, internet is so good, but don't just leave it to the provider. They really don't care. The only thing they care is they get the signal into your house and you're done. But I was talking to one of my friends. In fact, I'm going to be on his show. I think it's tomorrow night. The Audiophile Society in New Jersey, I think it is, and Mark Block. I was just talking to him. Mark's, Gary, he's probably about our age, and what Mark talks about is there's a lot of these audiophiles. They're not into streaming, not because they don't want to be into streaming, but because they don't really know how. It's intimidating. And one of the things I'd like to say about the setup of most wireless stuff, the Prime stuff is right up there. It is so super easy to do. You don't have to be an IT guy to be able to set up this gear. It's really easy. Like Gary said, you hook it up, you open up your app, and it just walks you right through it. I had mine hooked up in 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes, but it was just really, really quick, and it works great once you do.
Totally agree. It should be fun to set up. Obviously, it's more fun to enjoy, but it should be fun to set up, not frustrating.
It is.
Yeah. The only thing I care about is I try to look at it from a novice level. because most people that are doing this are on some level a novice anyway. So it's really good for me to be able to look at something like this and go, oh, wow, my wife can figure this out. Not that my wife isn't just as intelligent or more so than I am. She doesn't work with the internet. It's just something that she doesn't do every day. So, it's like anything else. You don't know things that you don't do every day, but people need to be able to do these kinds of things easily so that they don't just walk away from them, because it will enrich your lives to a huge degree. There's a couple of things that we haven't talked about that I really do want to get to, and I know we're past our hour, but is it okay for you guys to hang out with me a little bit longer?
Sure.
Absolutely. Good. My shows never end when they're supposed to. They're all supposed to end at 5 o'clock. And I'm sure Dan's going, could you please get on with it? I'd like to get home to my family. He's in New York at our office there right now. But there is one thing I want to talk to you about, because it's really the thing that SVS was known for the most when you guys took it over, because I think that's all they were doing were subwoofers at that point, right?
That's right. We were a subwoofer company.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you and I laughed about, David, is the streets are littered with the bodies of subwoofer companies that tried to become speaker companies too. And I'm very, very proud of our speakers. But they were designed by speaker designers. We had a real existing expertise in subwoofers when I started at SVS, and that I'm super proud. We're definitely the #1 branded subwoofer in the world. Our subwoofers are known for creating thundering deep bass as loud as the listener would ever want, so your neighbors will really be mad at you when you get one of our subwoofers, but also accurate, musical, refined, convincing. Those are the things we strive for, and in our subwoofers, and it's really helped us. We win awards all over the world. You asked me in our little pre-conversation if we're successful outside of the U.S., and actually, believe it or not, we're available in more than 70 countries around the world. We are about 40% of our total business in the world is outside of the U.S. And that's really gratifying, because we get reviews and awards from literally every corner of the world, not just about our subwoofers, but our speakers and now our smart speakers.
Yeah. Sub bass to me is like money and sex. It's kind of hard to have too much. I'd say that tongue in cheek, because you can have too much, but these things absolutely rock. And the reason I say I've got one that I'm actually not using this right now, because I put these big speakers up that's got their own built-in subwoofers, but I'm about to put this downstairs. But I've had one for now, gosh, three or 4 years. And I absolutely love it. Just totally slams. But you guys have got a whole line of subwoofers, and really it doesn't cost a lot to get into them, or you can you guys take it to the limit. What can you get into an SVS subwoofer for if you just needed to add a little bit of bottom end to, say, your SVS prime speakers or a smaller pair of speakers? What does the line start at and end up at?
Well, first of all, I want to say that every SVS subwoofer at every price fully represents the SVS subwoofer design philosophy, meaning we don't have like, oh, the really expensive one, that's the one you want to get, but the less expensive one it looks like an SVS subwoofer, but it really isn't. And so we start at $499, and it's the full-on SVS subwoofer experience. We top out at $2,500 for that big monster in the bottom right that weighs 180 pounds. But the small one that you see top left, that's $499, and its bigger brother next to it is also $499, and fully represents the SVS bass subwoofer experience.
They're all powered.
They're all self-powered. They all use digital signal processing, all of them, at every price. And all
It's
but
gotten so much better. In the last just 2-3 years, DSP has just rocked my world. I can't believe how much great stuff's coming out.
the sophistication that we're putting into our subwoofers just wasn't even possible 10 years ago.
Right.
And Larry, or should I show it? We have all of our subwoofers are controlled with an SVS subwoofer smartphone control app. So you can adjust every aspect of the subwoofer's performance from your phone. It's done via a Bluetooth bidirectional connection, meaning you don't even have, there it is, you don't even have to be line of sight to control your subwoofer. And some people may not want to make all the adjustments you can make with that app. That's fine. Most people won't need to, but there are some convenience features. We have presets so that, for example, you can have the subwoofer set to be a little bit bolder for movies and a little bit more refined for music, and have presets just to do that.
How many presets?
Or you can, sorry?
How many presets?
There's 3. 2 of them we pre-configure, and then 1 you can configure for yourself. And then you can also just simply control the volume of the subwoofer from, there's kind of a home page of the app with the basic functions, and then literally 10 other very granular adjustments you can make if you want to. It's fun to do.
Okay, my story about the adjusting your subwoofer is something that is huge to me. I don't want to get up, but so frequently just the output of bottom end is so different from one recording to another. And I'll give you a real good example. Some recordings just need a little more bottom end to sound good. It's as simple as that. If you listen to Stone Temple Pilots, that's a perfect example. Their recordings are really not that bad, but it's like I want to choke the guy that was recording it, because I'm going, why didn't you just add in the 6 dB of bass that this thing is shy of? You never know what people are recording with. So in other words, if this guy from STP had a pair of 15-inch JBLs that he had the bass cranked up on, he's going to naturally take the bottom end down on the recording, because he's not hearing it right. A lot of engineers will do that. But if you'll just take, you're listening to, let's say, STP, and I'm just using that for an example. There's thousands and thousands of recordings like this. You crank that up just a little bit on the bottom end, and all is right with the world. And prior to that, it's like not even nearly the amount of enjoyment that I get once I start feeling that tactile feel that they wanted you to have, that you hear when you go to their concerts, but it doesn't quite make.
And that's also true of even of acoustic music, classical music. I mean, music has overtones and undertones that reach into the bass, even if it's a female voice, but especially if it's something like a cello or acoustic bass. You want to really capture the impact of the instrument, the impact piece of it, the part that you can feel, which every kind of music has, whether it's acoustic or electric or electronic. You need a subwoofer to do that. A speaker will not be able to deliver that final degree of impact. And so you lose part of the convincing quality that you're always looking for with sound reproduction.
So, David, I'm glad you brought up concerts too, because I know Gary is jonesing for a Tool concert or somewhere to go see some live music. And,
That's right.
I think, when you're talking about recreating that experience, a subwoofer is probably the component that's going to get you the closest to that live concert experience.
Right.
And now when we're all sheltering in place here, sort of waiting this thing out, there's fewer better ways, and all the great streaming content that Qobuz is providing, and I think Gary mentioned YouTube. Like, there's just no better way to really capture that experience than to get a great subwoofer and to dial it in. So I think people should understand that it's it's an easy path to sort of create that experience at home if you have a great subwoofer. So I think I've been certainly doing it with my family with some concerts that I wouldn't even have expected to listen to before, but it's just such a great experience.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Tool, because Tool was suppressing a lot of the YouTube videos that were going up because that's their thing. I mean, they don't think it fully captures the live experience, which we took all our team members to a Tool show live in Pittsburgh, if you remember, Nick, and you saw the the level of vaguely the level of impact that can have. But last night I noticed that they've let a bunch of concert recordings stay on YouTube, and I was just loving it. And of course, I was using my Prime Wireless hooked up to an SVS subwoofer, and it was just so much fun. It was not a full-on live experience, but it was a heck of a lot better than a kick in the head. I really missed the fun of live performance and was trying to recapture it a little bit with YouTube.
That's another perfect example that you were just talking about. I was saying Stone Temple Pilots, which was that really is dating me a little bit. Same thing with the Tool recordings. You add a little bit of bottom end to these things, and it is a totally different experience. Because
well, can I say something about Qobuz?
They
flashed that on screen. Sure. I think Dan flashed that on screen. I can't listen to Tool's new album, Fear Inoculum, except on Qobuz. I have the CD package. It costs like $50. It's got a literally a TV screen in the CD package, so you can watch this trippy video they made. But I can't even listen to the CD because Qobuz sounds so amazing with that album. And so that's the only way I'll listen to it.
Thanks.
Thanks. I'm not just saying that. That's just truth.
Well, really appreciate that. I'm really kind of fond of it as well. But at any rate,
you work there, so
I'm gonna have to do something because I'm sitting back going, I wish this had a little more bass. There would be nothing that I would love more than to be able to pick up the app that Larry was just showing and go.
You have the 2000 series. We got to get you into a 2000 Pro. We need to. That's something we should write ourselves a note to get. I remember when you bought that, David.
Yeah.
That was your first experience with our brand, I think. You were so. I mean, I loved your passion. You were excited about it. You kind of showed all of our mutual Facebook friends your unboxing experience. It was just fun. And I'd like to get you into a 2000 Pro, which is the same price, but now has the app and some performance enhancements. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it.
I will write you a check as soon as we're finished because I want to go ahead and do that. You know, really, Larry had me when he's going, you can pick up and actually I knew this. We just haven't discussed it. Picking this thing up though and being able to change the parameters to me is like, that's what subwoofers have been missing forever.
Yep, you're so right.
I'm telling you this, not working for SVS, but just as a person that's dealt with subwoofers on and off for 30 years, if you can get one with a control where you're sitting, there is nothing like that because it's not going to sound the same when you walk behind there and start tweaking it. And then you're going back to your seat going, well, that's not the way it sounded. So I was going to ask you guys something because subwoofer setup, a lot of people just act like you plug them in and it's done. And it's really not. You can really screw your system up with a good subwoofer if you're not careful. So my question is, do you guys have classes or YouTube videos or some sort of an educational component that would show people and educate people how to set subwoofers up?
So I would say three things. Number one, our website, svsound.com, has tons of instructional blogs and videos that you can educate yourself about the whole space, whether it's speakers, subwoofers, all that. The SVS YouTube channel also has a lot of instructional videos, and just
it talks about like crossovers and where you should place them and those kinds of things, Gary.
Yes, but I would actually say, I mean, if somebody doesn't want to get a college education about all this stuff, they just want to enjoy great sound, then the easy thing to do is just call us. We are there 7 days a week.
I love that.
Or email or chat.
And everyone on the other end of the phone that you call is passionate about great sound. Not only are they passionate about speakers and subwoofers, but they know your home theater receiver, whatever brand it is, even though we don't sell those, and we will help you make the correct adjustments so your subwoofer and speakers and everything about your home theater sounds amazing. And by the way, we don't care. We care, but we don't worry about whether or not you have SVS branded products. You can call us anyway, and we will work with you because in the end of the day, what we hope for is that you'll be in love with our brand and our company and our team and want to be involved with us.
What can you say on top of that? That's fantastic, Gary. I know that your customers really appreciate that. I know from just from a customer appreciation level, I appreciate that to the nth degree. I know both of us feel the same way. I talk to people about streaming a lot. That doesn't really have a lot to do with Qobuz, but still people know that I know. So I don't mind, laying down some knowledge. I know that's the way you guys are. You always do. Before we get out of here, guys, what should we talk about that I haven't brought up that I should have probably brought up?
Nick, let's see what you've got on your mind, sir.
No, I mean, I just, it's been a great conversation. I think just, letting people know that we're very approachable. Like, we always try to just be available no matter how you want to reach us, whether it's through social media. Gary mentioned calling us. We have a chat function. We have email. Like, we're here to
people email me every day. I probably get 20 emails from our customers.
Yep, we have Gary's personal email right on our website, so like if you have questions about, choosing a component, optimizing your existing system, whatever it is, like we want to reach you in whatever way you want to reach us. And so we try to keep all those channels open. And, I think that's a big part of what's helped us foster this sense of community around our brand that goes beyond just, selling a product and trying to make people happy with that. It's really about supporting you before, during, and after that whole process. And, if you're a fan of audio, then you'll likely be a fan of SVS, because we're all just sort of, pumping through our veins. So that's kind of, I guess, what I would leave it with.
Larry, how about you?
We love geeking out with everybody. And you can see I'm a music and movie guy by all the junk you can see behind me here. And Gary's extremely passionate. And our customer service team, the sound experts, we don't like calling them customer service because they're so much more than that. That's why we call them sound experts, because we're all into this. And we love geeking out and walking you through setups and coming up with demos and doing events like this. So we'll just keep doing it. And we'll keep bringing you great sound as long as you allow us. And we'll be loud and rock on and come up with new innovations as we go too.
Really, really appreciate you guys. I appreciate that you helped my friend out. I knew Gary a long time before I knew you guys, but I see the way that you guys take care of him when we're at shows, and even when we're not at shows. Many of you don't know this, but Gary is not only the president and sort of the chief bottle washer at SVS. He's also president of the Consumer Technology Association. This is a huge
past chairman.
I thought you were president now.
No. Past chairman. President is actually a staff position there.
Okay.
So that would be Gary Shapiro. He's president and CEO. But I am on the executive board, and I was once chairman of it. They have term limits, so you do 2-year term. And I was probably as proud of that as I am of my role at SBS.
And you're head of the
audio board too.
Audio board.
Yeah, I am chairman of the audio board, which is really cool.
Which takes just tons and tons of time, but it's got to be a job of passion, because I have no idea how you have the time to do such a good job on that. I actually sit on this board with Gary, and every month I'm just absolutely amazed at everything that he's been able to help accomplish with different teams and whatnot. But what a great leader, Gary. You are absolutely a huge hero of mine, and I really feel super privileged to know you. Thank you for everything that you do, not only for SVS, but for audio in our industry in general. If you don't happen to know, folks, it's a lot, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, David. That's very kind.
Well, guys, we have kind of gone half an hour overtime. I'd love to have you back. Would you guys come back at some point in the future, maybe when you got some new stuff to talk about, or
that would be awesome. We'd love to.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for joining. Hang out when we end the broadcast, and we'll say hello for a few minutes after that. But everyone, I would like to thank you all for joining us. SVS, thank you for joining us, and join us next week, and we'll be doing another one. I can't even remember what it is next week. I'm almost thinking its name, but we'll let you know. Check back with us. Check on SVS Social. They do a happy hour every week, and it's a lot of fun. These guys are not only they work together, but they're actually friends, and they have some super, super interesting conversations. So thanks again for joining us at Qobuz Live on Thursday, and we'll hope to see you next week.